when leaders hear AI or anybody hears about AI, it's like it's going to take my job. AI is not going to take jobs as much. You're just going to fight the bureaucracy that makes work miserable. So the reason why you want to get into AI, first of all, if you don't, you very likely are going to lose your job. It is because it's a force multiplier.
Hi, and welcome back to the Smart Performance Podcast. I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor. Of course, S is for self-care, M is for mindful growth, A is for adaptive learning, R for rhythmic operations, T for thriving community, and P is for performance. I'm really happy today to have Anthony with me. We're going to get into a topic of AI. Now, of course, everybody is talking about AI, but I would like our emerging leaders who are listening today and to the future to really take something to heart. Listening and learning is one thing, but actually interacting with AI is a whole nother level. And it is so very important that we stay with the times. You do not want to become the blockbuster of leaders, right? If you don't stay ahead, if you don't continue to have this growth mindset, especially around this topic, you will be left behind. Anthony, thank you for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I've started and sold a bunch of businesses, and now I'm in a phase of my career where I get to kind of pick what I'm leaning into. So how I earn money right now is I'm a fractional executive, and currently for the last year and so I've been working with a very large enterprise agentic software company. So they create AI for businesses. And as I've been working with them, I've been working with the CEO and asking him, I've learned how they deliver on AI, not just the promise, but actually provide value for companies. And I told him he does it in a really unique way. Can I open source that? Can I bottle it up and open source it? And he agreed. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm working on this thing called AI First Principles.
Very interesting. So from a mid-level, like an emerging leader perspective, people are working, up the food chain, so to speak, climbing that proverbial career ladder. Why is AI important to them, and why should it be important?
Yeah. So let me address usually the elephant in the room when leaders hear AI or anybody hears about AI. It's like it's going to take my job. AI is not going to take jobs as much. You're just going to fight the bureaucracy that makes work miserable. So the reason why you want to get into AI, first of all, if you don't, you very likely are going to lose your job. It is because it's a force multiplier. So if you're dabbling using something like ChatGPT or Claude, you're starting to get the understanding of what it's good at and what it's not. And so the reason why you need to lean into AI beyond just the chatbots is because it's going to make you 10 times more valuable in your organization than somebody that doesn't do that.
So, that has real value to it. So where can people go to get started? Where should they go back and take a course in college, or are there online classes, or should they reach out to the information technology officer of their company? How can they get the information that they need in order to thrive?
I'm going to get really basic here and just say first, go to Claude, which is Anthropic's chatbot. Get a $20 a month account and start interacting with it. Start understanding how to communicate and get value from it. That could be helping you craft emails. It could be helping you understand a presentation. Those are what most people use AI for, but I would challenge you to use it in a much more unique way. And use Claude as a thought partner. Tell Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, they're all coming out with new models. They're all really great, or Grok. And use it to challenge you. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Tell me where I'm wrong. Here's my career. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the project I'm working. What am I not thinking about? Where can I level up my career? Where can I think, like, you can use it to critique you. but you have to be very specific. You have to say that you don't want the chat bot to tell you what you want to hear. You want it to be truth seeking and tell you what you need to hear. So really critical to describe it that way. And then once you get it, we can spend hours on just how to use chatbots. Then you're going to get into a point where you need something that isn't conversational, that actually does stuff for you, that you can tell an AI to go out and accomplish tasks. And there's a bunch of tools, and we can get into the tools if you want and how to think about that too.
Yeah, so let's think first. So when I work with clients, people are asking too, what about AI? I say, listen, just as simple as looking for a job, you can use AI. But even if when you have an interview coming up, I said, listen, upload your CV, upload the job description at the website of the company that you're applying to, and ask Grok, I tend to use that, but any of the companies, interact with it and do an analysis to ask you questions relevant to the job that are coming up with, things you should know or best practices that apply. And it really is very useful for people to get. Interesting enough that most of them now have a speaking function, like an assistant you can actually have a dialogue with. I have used it for myself for business planning or do a macro analysis. So all these things are readily available, and that is really good. Now, the next level of a middle manager is to learn to measure things. How can I interact with data and AI itself so you can ask it to do things and help you analyze? Because one thing is that we see, especially in healthcare, that's the space where I work most of the time, we are really good at generating data. We are a little less good at collecting the data and putting it in a way that you can actually analyze it. Forget about analyzing it. How can AI help us get to that next level?
Well, so you can do some pretty decent data analytics with those chatbots. You just upload a spreadsheet and say, give me some insights that I may not be thinking about from this data. It's actually pretty good at that. Now, there's this thing called context window that's going to limit how much data you can upload. So you may need to do some summarization or reduce the amount, but it can handle a surprising amount of data. So experiment with that. If you want to get to the next level, the next level, I currently use something called Cursor, and Cursor is a tool that is typically designed for coders. So it feels like a code. It feels like you're a nerd in a garage, right? Holding a Mountain Dew as you're using it. I totally get that it's a little bit off-putting for a lot of folks to use it, but it's a tool you should be trying to learn. And the reason is it can give you advice based on context. So you basically point Cursor at a folder on your machine, and you put data in that folder, and you put prompts in that folder, and you give context in that folder, and you point Cursor to that folder, and you start asking questions about the folder and asking it to produce content and produce material like Word docs or text documents, and analyze and you can iterate on that, analyze it on that thought process with a thought partner, and use a Cursor as that thought partner. And Cursor lets you use any LLM that you like. Like you can use Grok, you can use Claude, you can use OpenAI on it. So you can play with the different LLMs against that data and get unique and different answers and see which one you like better based on what you're doing.
Very good. I think anything beyond that becomes almost a little bit too technical unless you want to get into that space and really, apply it to, kind of like a cockpit environment of looking at many different data sets at the same time and visualizing that. So sticking to that level of what you just talked about.
Let me just say, you can tell Cursor, present this to me in a way that I can visualize it. And what Cursor will do is it'll become your software developer. Write a Python script and an HTML page to analyze the data and then present the data in a unique way. So it'll become a developer without you having to learn a line of code. It can be really powerful in that circumstance.
And they will actually put graphs together as well, that all the way to the end. Very good. I might have
Yeah,
to look into that myself. I'm
it's
working with a couple
wonderful.
of
It's really wonderful.
individuals that are really struggling with this, and it is the old skills in Tableau or Power BI or G Cockpit, all these things. Again, AI can be very helpful to make it less technical and more applicable. So, what action steps should people take as they get introduced to AI? What should they do on a daily basis to build up this muscle that they are required to understand and interact with? What's your recommendation? How do you get started? How do you get good at it?
It's really interesting. So, if you're not interacting with AI now, you have to start. And what's really funny, that sounds like I'm giving homework, right? It sounds like I'm telling you to take your medicine. Um, that's not what I'm saying. Once you get started, you're hooked. So in a really good way. My wife is not technical at all. I gave her ChatGPT on her phone. She uses it daily. Without me telling her to use it. It's like she'll ask questions. It makes us all smarter. So the very first thing is sign up for something. And everybody has free accounts too. And just start interacting with it. Ask it questions you're afraid to ask any other human being. Right? I'm struggling in my job. How do I get better at it? Or my boss is expecting this of me. I'm not going to deliver on it. Or I want to level up. Or I want to find a new job. And it will walk you through in surprising ways how to think about it differently than you're currently thinking about. So just get started.
Hey, listen, for myself, I'm an early adopter. I've been using it for as long as it's been on the market, and certainly in some ways, AI has been around since the late 90s. Of course, the video has become more prominent in our lives over the last couple of years. I do recommend everybody to start and then really learn how to adopt that into part of how you live life every single day. I want to put this in a box because I think that in our conversation earlier, you mentioned that you're an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. And certainly, a serial entrepreneur has a mindset. Can you tell us a little bit about what is the mindset of a successful entrepreneur?
Oh, goodness. So I don't think there is a one size fits all box for entrepreneurs. So I won't. I'll try to keep this as generic as possible because many people have become successful entrepreneurs, and you look at them and you're like, you guys are nothing alike. You and her, I don't even know how you're even doing the same thing. A few of the things that I think are core critical to being an entrepreneur. One is you have to shift out of your employee mindset. And what that means is there's nobody there. There's no safety net. There's nobody there to tell you what to do. And seeking advice and doing what somebody tells you to do is the surest way to be an unsuccessful entrepreneur. You have to decide. That means it falls on you. The second is you really have to know yourself. You have to know what you suck at. And for me, that's a lot. Like I know what I'm bad at way more than I know what I'm good at. I just avoid the things that I'm bad at and find other people to help me there. Which requires a great amount of humility and a great amount of eating crow. The other thing that you need to think about is there's nobody there to tell you you're doing a good job. It's the opposite. It's always telling you, there's always the market telling you you need to do better. That's a hard thing to ground yourself in. And the final warning I give to people is entrepreneurship is extremely lonely. You can't become friends with your employees. If you take on investors, they're not your friends. Your customers, you can't communicate with your customers and tell them the problems that you're going through. The only other person that's going to understand that you can talk to is somebody that's not in your circle. It's another entrepreneur. So if you're going to become an entrepreneur, go find other entrepreneurs, hang around with them. If you don't like any of them, you're probably not an entrepreneur. So maybe it's not your thing. But the way to cure loneliness is by talking to other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, because I always encourage people to look, even if you're working for a company, if you want to get ahead, you need to learn how to differentiate yourself, and you can't think like everybody else. You really have to have a little bit more of that entrepreneurial mindset, of owner mindset in the company. Of course, when you're an entrepreneur like you and I are both, there's nobody here to tell me what to do and how to do it. That's why it's kind of sometimes handy to have AI who can be my accountability buddy, can help be a thought partner, can help me kind of like going through the analysis part and make suggestions based on best practices.
Let me add something to that really quick for you. So,
Sure.
if you're an employee thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, the first thing I would do in your job today, ask yourself, how can I provide 10 times the value to the company than they're paying me? If you can't answer that question, you're not ready yet. And then you need to start doing that. Show yourself that you can provide more value than you're taking from the company. And you need to measure yourself on that. When you're there, when you're providing 5 or 6 or 7 times the value that you're taking out, it's a good indication that you'll do okay as an entrepreneur.
I think that the key is measurement. Most people don't measure much of anything, and then they wonder why they can't build sustainable outcomes and get ahead in life. Right? It is really, you need to have a plan. You need to be adjustable on that plan. But the key thing is along the way, you need to measure things. So in closing our conversation, where can people find you, Anthony?
Yeah, so they can find me on my podcast, a landing page, which is an entrepreneurial podcast. It's called howtofounder.com. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn there. And I encourage everybody to visit the AI First Principles. It's just aifirstprinciples.org. And you can get involved in how to, those are principles designed around how to operationalize AI into your organization.
Excellent. Rock solid advice. And last words of wisdom, something that is a key takeaway and something that they need to look into.
If it's entrepreneurial, don't do it. Don't become an entrepreneur. It's hard. It's lonely. Most people fail. And you're competing against resources that are unfathomable. And if you think I'm an idiot for saying that, you're probably an entrepreneur.
Exactly. The funny thing is I fly helicopters and airplanes, and somebody's told me a long time ago. I had this great idea, so maybe I'll open up a flight school at some point in time. I said that, if you go into a flight school with $10 million, the best possible outcome you have is that you leave the company with 1 million in your pocket and don't go bankrupt. So that's a good thought too. Anthony, thank you for joining today. Really great conversation. I think some real tangible takeaways for the people who are listening. Get involved, right? Don't be afraid. Get involved. Stay ahead of the curve. Continue to learn. Use that growth mindset. And if you're really brave and really crazy, become that entrepreneur you always wanted to be. I started my journey only 4 years ago, and I have no regrets. And we'll be marching forward. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.